You may have noticed something over the years. The strength that once came naturally when climbing stairs, lifting groceries, or simply getting up from a chair now seems to take more effort. Maybe your arms feel thinner, your legs less steady, or your energy fades faster than it used to. This is not just aging. This is something deeper, something science calls sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is the slow and steady loss of muscle mass and strength that begins in our 40s and speeds up in our 60s and 70s. The word may sound technical, but the reality is personal. It's the reason many of us start struggling with balance, become more prone to falls, and feel weaker over time, even when we're eating well. You might have seen it in your parents, or even started to notice it in yourself. The body begins to betray what the mind still wants to do. The cause isn't laziness or lack of willpower. Sarcopenia is a natural part of aging, but it's also a warning. As muscle disappears, so does our independence. Muscles are not just about looking fit. They are essential for standing tall, walking safely, and supporting everything from our heart to our metabolism. When muscles decline, so does our ability to control blood sugar, regulate energy, and prevent diseases like diabetes or osteoporosis. But there's another layer to this story that many don't hear about. It's called anabolic resistance. This means that as we age, our bodies become less responsive to the usual signals that tell muscles to grow. In our younger years, just a bit of exercise or protein was enough to trigger growth and repair. But as we cross into our 60s and beyond, those same signals become weaker. Our muscles stop responding the way they used to, no matter how hard we try. It's as if the body has turned down the volume on muscle building, and it's harder to get its attention. This explains why simply telling older adults to go exercise isn't always helpful. Their bodies need more than just effort. They need support at the cellular level, a spark that reignites the ability to rebuild what time has worn down. And this isn't just about lifting weights or joining a gym. Even everyday movements, getting out of a car, rising from a couch, walking to the mailbox, become harder without enough muscle. What's often missed in this conversation is how deeply muscle loss affects every part of life. It's not just about strength. Muscles are central to how we burn energy, how we stay balanced, how we sleep, and how we think. That's right, muscle loss is linked to brain fog and cognitive decline too. When muscles fade, everything else begins to slip with them. The good news is this: muscle loss is not inevitable. It can be slowed, even reversed, with the right tools. But the first step is understanding why it happens and recognizing that it's not your fault. You're not weak or lazy. You're experiencing something that nearly every adult faces after middle age. And the more you understand it, the better equipped you are to fight it. That's what this conversation is really about. Not just muscles, but freedom. The freedom to move confidently, to avoid falls, to stay sharp, and to keep living on your terms. In the parts that follow, we'll explore what you can do about sarcopenia, how to fuel your body with what it needs, and how a simple ingredient might be the missing piece that helps your body build back strength in a way that feels natural and sustainable. You deserve to feel strong again. And we're going to talk about how. Creatine is made from 3 amino acids: arginine, glycine, and methionine, and it's produced by your liver, pancreas, and kidneys. Once made, it travels through your blood and is stored in your muscles. In fact, about 95% of all the creatine in your body is found in muscle tissue. The remaining 5% is in your brain. That fact alone should tell you how important this compound is for both movement and mental function. Now, if you've heard of creatine before, you might associate it with bodybuilders or athletes. Maybe you've seen tubs of it at health stores or in gym ads. But here's the truth most people don't realize. Creatine isn't just for the young or the muscular. It's actually something your body makes naturally, and it plays a critical role in how your muscles function, especially as you get older. There's a reason some people seem to maintain their strength well into their 70s, while others feel like their muscles have abandoned them. The difference, in many cases, comes down to one overlooked but powerful ingredient. It's not a drug. It's not a fad. It's something your body already knows, already uses, and simply starts to run short of as the years go by. That ingredient is creatine. But what does creatine actually do? At its core, it helps your muscles produce energy. Every time you stand up, walk, lift, or stretch, your muscles call on a form of energy known as ATP, adenosine triphosphate. This is like your body's fuel. When ATP gets used, it becomes ADP, adenosine diphosphate, and loses some of its spark. Creatine steps in, donating a phosphate to recharge ADP back into ATP. In simple terms, creatine is your muscle's backup battery. It keeps energy flowing when you need that extra push, whether you're climbing stairs or simply getting out of bed. So if your body makes creatine naturally, why would you need more? Because with age, your ability to produce creatine begins to decline. Your muscles start to run low on this vital resource. And because you're also likely moving less, eating less red meat, and facing natural changes in digestion and absorption, you end up in a kind of slow energy crisis. Your muscles can't recover or grow without fuel, and that's where creatine comes in. Supplementing with creatine gives your body a gentle but powerful boost. It's like topping off a car's gas tank before a long trip. You're not adding something foreign. You're restoring something that used to be there in abundance. And unlike many other supplements, creatine is incredibly well studied. It's been researched for decades and shown to be both safe and effective, especially in older adults. Some research has looked at using higher doses in what's called a loading phase, around 20 grams a day for a week, to quickly saturate muscles with creatine. But for most older adults, that's not necessary. A steady daily amount is enough to rebuild what time has taken. And the results? More strength, better energy, improved balance, and even benefits for your brain, which we'll explore later. What makes creatine so remarkable is that it works even if you're not doing intense exercise. Of course, combining it with some light movement will amplify the effects, but it's not a requirement. That's why it's especially helpful for older adults who may have physical limitations or are just beginning to get active again. And here's something worth remembering. This is not a medication. Creatine isn't about hacking your body or chasing youth. It's about restoring a natural process, giving your muscles and mind the support they quietly need. As we age, we don't need more extremes. We need more consistency, more gentleness, and more wisdom in how we care for ourselves. Creatine fits that philosophy beautifully. In the next section, we'll talk more about why creatine levels drop with age, how lifestyle and diet affect your reserves, and what that means for your long-term energy and independence. Creatine is synthesized by the liver, kidneys, and pancreas. These organs work together like a team, drawing from the building blocks of certain amino acids in your diet. In younger years, this process runs smoothly. But as we age, several things happen that reduce the efficiency of this system. First, the organs themselves experience wear and tear. Just like the skin shows wrinkles or joints get stiff, the internal machinery that processes nutrients becomes less effective. The liver, kidneys, and pancreas don't shut down, but they become less productive. That means less creatine is produced on a daily basis, even if you're eating the same foods as before. Second, aging affects how your body handles protein and amino acids. Even if you eat enough protein, your body may not break it down or absorb it as well as it used to. The result is fewer raw materials available for creatine synthesis. So you're not only making less, you're starting with less. Third, physical activity plays a role. Movement, especially resistance training, encourages the body to produce and utilize creatine more effectively. But most people move less as they age. Whether it's due to joint pain, fatigue, or just a slower lifestyle, reduced activity means reduced demand for creatine. And when the body doesn't feel that demand, it stops producing as much. Finally, dietary changes often reduce creatine intake. Red meat and certain types of fish are the richest natural sources of creatine. But many older adults cut back on these foods, either to manage cholesterol, support heart health, or follow plant-based diets. While these changes may be beneficial in other ways, they often lead to lower creatine levels. All of this adds up to a quiet deficit that creeps in over time. Your muscles ask for fuel, your brain asks for energy, but your internal creatine bank is running low. You might not feel it immediately, but over months and years, this shortage starts to show up as weakness, slower recovery, and brain fog. What makes this decline even more important is how it connects to other age-related issues. Low creatine levels aren't just about energy. They're tied to loss of muscle mass, increased fatigue, reduced mental sharpness, and higher risk of falls. In other words, they are at the root of many challenges we associate with aging. Challenges that rob people of their independence and quality of life. And yet, very few doctors talk about this. Creatine isn't something that shows up on standard lab tests. It doesn't scream for attention the way blood pressure or cholesterol does. But make no mistake, it matters. When your muscles feel tired after just a short walk, when you feel slower mentally after a poor night's sleep, or when it takes longer to bounce back from a busy day, creatine may be part of the story. This is why supplementation becomes such a powerful tool. It doesn't replace exercise or healthy food, but it supports the natural systems that have grown quieter with time. It acts as a helper, stepping in where your organs have slowed down, ensuring your muscles and brain still get the fuel they need. Think of it this way. You spent decades building strength, raising a family, working hard, showing up for others. Your body has served you faithfully. Now it needs a little help. Not a dramatic overhaul, not a complex therapy, just a gentle hand to keep things going. In the next section, we'll explore how diet affects your creatine levels, what kinds of foods are rich in this compound, and why many older adults still come up short, even with good nutrition. Many older adults take pride in eating healthy. They cut back on red meat, avoid fried foods, eat more vegetables, and drink plenty of water. These are all good habits. But even with a well-balanced diet, many people over 60 still don't get enough of a critical compound. Their muscles and minds desperately need creatine. It's a quiet problem, one that's easy to miss. Creatine isn't a vitamin or mineral you'll find on a nutrition label. It doesn't come up in most conversations about diet, but it plays a key role in energy production, especially in your muscles and brain. And the only real sources of creatine in the diet come from animal foods, particularly red meat and certain fish. Beef, pork, salmon, and herring are among the top sources. A typical steak might give you 1 or 2 grams of creatine. A serving of salmon provides a similar amount. But here's the issue. The daily amount needed to maintain optimal creatine levels, especially in older adults, is about 3 to 5 grams per day. That means you'd have to eat a full steak or a hearty portion of fish every single day just to stay even. And most people don't. There are good reasons for that. As people age, they often reduce their intake of red meat for heart health reasons. Concerns about cholesterol, blood pressure, and saturated fat lead many to eat smaller portions or skip meat altogether. Others shift to more plant-based diets, which offer many benefits but contain virtually no creatine. Unlike iron or calcium, creatine is not found in plants. So even if you eat tofu, beans, and grains, you're not getting any creatine from those foods. Most of us grow up never thinking about creatine. It's just there, quietly doing its job in the background. Our organs produce it, our muscles use it, and everything seems to run just fine. But something begins to shift as we move through our 50s and into our 60s. The natural systems that once kept our bodies fueled start to slow down, including the one responsible for making creatine. Appetite also changes with age. Many older adults find themselves eating less overall. Portions shrink, meals become simpler, and heavy meats become less appealing. Digestion slows, and sensitivities increase. Even when you want to eat well, your body may not handle the same foods the way it used to. Creatine is not just about building muscle. It helps muscles recover after movement, supports mental energy, and even helps with cellular hydration. When your muscles are low on creatine, they don't work as well. And when that happens, you become more prone to fatigue, weakness, and even falls. One of the most important things to understand is that you don't need massive doses. Just a small amount each day, around 3 to 5 grams, can make a significant difference. That's less than a teaspoon. For most people, it's as simple as mixing a scoop into a drink or coffee in the morning. No need to track calories or change your diet drastically. Just a tiny daily step toward feeling stronger and more supported. It's simple, affordable, and effective. Just a small scoop of creatine powder, the same compound your body already makes, can bridge the gap. It's not about changing your entire lifestyle. It's about giving your body the support it quietly needs, without the burden of eating more than you want to, or compromising your other health goals. In the next section, we'll talk about how to safely supplement with creatine, how much to take, and how to make it part of your daily routine in a way that feels effortless and natural. When people first hear about creatine supplementation, they often assume it's something complicated, something that involves special diets or intense workouts. But that couldn't be further from the truth. For older adults, creatine is not a fitness trend. It's a gentle, proven way to support your body as it ages, and adding it to your daily life is surprisingly simple. Let's start with the basics. The most studied and trusted form of creatine is called creatine monohydrate. It's a white, flavorless powder that dissolves easily in liquids. You don't need capsules, flavored drinks, or expensive blends. Just the plain powder form is enough. It's what researchers have used in hundreds of studies, and it's what has shown the most consistent benefits. So how much should you take? For most adults over 60, a daily dose of 3 to 5 grams is ideal. That's about 1 teaspoon. If you've never used creatine before, there's no need to worry about complicated cycles or loading phases. While some protocols suggest taking higher doses for the first week to load the muscles more quickly, this step is optional. The important thing is consistency. A small daily dose, taken regularly, builds up in your muscles over time and supports energy, strength, and recovery. That leads us to side effects. For the vast majority of people, creatine is very well tolerated. Because it draws water into the muscles, some users may notice slight bloating or a heavier feeling during the first week. Others might feel mild digestive upset. These effects usually fade quickly as your body adjusts. If you're sensitive, you can start with a half dose for the first few days and gradually work your way up. It's also wise to stay hydrated. Since creatine increases water retention in muscles, your body needs a little extra fluid to maintain balance. Simply drinking a few more glasses of water throughout the day can help. If you're already on a medication that affects hydration, like diuretics or certain blood pressure pills, it's always a good idea to check in with your doctor before starting any new supplement, including creatine. One concern that sometimes comes up is kidney health. In the early days of creatine use, some doctors worried that it might put strain on the kidneys, especially because it's related to a substance called creatinine, which is used to measure kidney function. But decades of research have shown that normal creatine use does not harm the kidneys. Healthy older adults, and even many with mild kidney concerns, have taken creatine safely under medical supervision. The best part? You don't have to do anything extreme to see results. You don't need to overhaul your diet, track calories, or join a gym. You don't need a personal trainer. All you need is a scoop, a glass of liquid, and a few seconds each day. That one simple habit can help your body reclaim some of the energy and resilience that time has taken. In the next section, we'll explore how adding even light movement or resistance training to your routine, in combination with creatine, can multiply the benefits, helping you regain muscle, balance, and confidence in your daily life. It's easy to think that real exercise means sweat, heavy weights, and crowded gyms. But for adults in their 60s and 70s, the most important form of movement might be the simplest one: gentle, consistent resistance. When combined with daily creatine, even the smallest effort can create big changes in strength, stability, and confidence. Let's start with what resistance training actually means. It's not about lifting huge dumbbells or spending hours working out. Resistance simply means giving your muscles something to push against. That could be your own body weight, a resistance band, a water bottle, or even the wall. These small efforts send a clear message to your muscles. Stay strong, stay active, stay awake. As we age, muscles respond less to passive signals. This is part of what's called anabolic resistance. Your body's declining ability to build or repair muscle the way it used to. But movement changes that. When you push against something, even lightly, you activate tiny muscle fibers that trigger repair and growth. Add creatine into the mix, and those signals get amplified. Your muscles suddenly have both the reason and the resources to rebuild. You don't need a routine filled with squats and lunges. You can start with what I call exercise snacks. These are short, simple bursts of movement that fit into your day, like standing up from a chair 10 times, pushing gently against a wall, or lifting a soup can a few times. They may not feel like much at first, but they wake up your muscles, improve circulation, and support balance. Let's take the chair squat as an example. Sit in a sturdy chair with your feet flat on the floor. Cross your arms or reach them forward for balance. Now stand up slowly, then sit back down with control. Repeat this 5 or 10 times. That's resistance training. It works the large muscles in your thighs and hips, the very ones that help you walk, climb stairs, and avoid falls. Do that once or twice a day, and you're giving your body a serious advantage. Creatine makes these small efforts go further. It supports your muscle cells by providing quick energy and helping repair damage. This means your muscles recover faster, feel less sore, and adapt more easily. It also means you can do more with less effort. You start to feel stronger, not in theory, but in everyday life. Getting up from the couch, carrying groceries, or keeping your balance when the ground feels unsteady. And here's something even more powerful. Movement improves more than just muscles. It wakes up your metabolism, supports blood sugar control, and enhances brain function. That's because your muscles are filled with tiny energy factories called mitochondria. When you use your muscles, those factories grow stronger, burning fuel more efficiently and sending energy throughout your body. This helps reduce fatigue, improve sleep, and sharpen your thinking. The beauty of pairing movement with creatine is that you don't need to push hard to get results. In fact, the key is consistency, not intensity. Doing a little bit, most days of the week, is better than doing too much once in a while. Even 5 minutes, twice a day, adds up. And over time, you may find yourself standing taller, moving with more ease, and feeling more in control of your body. The other benefit of light resistance training is how it protects against falls. Falls are one of the biggest health risks for older adults, often leading to injuries that take away independence. Strengthening your legs, hips, and core muscles reduces this risk dramatically. It keeps you steady when you step on uneven ground, catch yourself from a misstep, or need to react quickly. This is not about becoming an athlete. It's about maintaining the ability to live on your own terms, to walk without fear, to lift things without pain, to enjoy life without constantly asking for help. And with creatine supporting your muscles from the inside, and movement supporting them from the outside, you're giving your body the tools it needs to stay strong and steady for years to come. In our final section, we'll explore something even more surprising: how creatine also supports your brain, protecting memory, focus, and clarity in a way that few other supplements can. We've talked a lot about muscles, but if you ask most people over 60 what they fear most about aging, it's not physical weakness, it's losing their mind, forgetting names, getting lost in familiar places, feeling foggy or slow. These are the changes that shake confidence and independence in a way that muscle loss never could. What many people don't realize is that creatine, the same compound that supports your strength, may also protect your brain. It makes sense when you look at where creatine goes in the body. While most of it is stored in your muscles, about 5% lives in your brain. That may not sound like much, but in the world of biochemistry, it's huge. The brain uses more energy than almost any other organ. Every thought, every decision, every memory takes fuel. And just like in your muscles, that fuel is called ATP. When ATP gets used up, creatine steps in to recharge it. It donates a phosphate group to restore the energy supply, keeping your neurons firing and your brain sharp. This process becomes even more critical when your brain is under stress from lack of sleep, illness, emotional strain, or simply aging. During these times, your mental energy reserves can run low, and creatine becomes a kind of backup generator that keeps the lights on. Studies have started to confirm what many people notice anecdotally. In older adults, creatine supplementation has been linked to improved short-term memory, faster reaction times, and better focus. One large meta-analysis, a study that reviews many other studies, found that older adults who took creatine had measurable improvements in mental performance, especially in tasks involving memory and attention. Not every study shows dramatic results, and creatine is not a cure for dementia or a replacement for mental health care. But the pattern is clear. For people in their 60s and 70s, especially those who eat little red meat, creatine can provide a meaningful boost to brain energy. And that boost can help reduce mental fatigue, sharpen recall, and even smooth out some of the rough edges of aging. The brain, like the rest of the body, responds to consistency. Daily creatine doesn't act like a stimulant. You won't feel a jolt like caffeine. Instead, the effects build gradually. More clarity in the morning, less fog in the afternoon, more confidence in conversations. It's subtle, but powerful. And over time, it adds up to a sense of steadiness that many people had forgotten was possible. This benefit becomes even more important when you consider how creatine interacts with sleep and stress. Poor sleep is one of the biggest causes of mental dullness in older adults. When you're tired, your brain burns through energy faster. Creatine helps refill that tank. Similarly, during periods of emotional strain or decision overload, creatine gives your mind a little extra stamina to stay calm and focused. And here's something hopeful. The people who seem to benefit most from creatine's mental effects are those who start with the lowest baseline. That includes older adults, people who eat less meat, and those experiencing early signs of cognitive fatigue. In other words, if you've been feeling off lately, not quite yourself, creatine might be the right step at the right time. Adding it to your life is the same as we've discussed before. A small scoop each day. No diet overhaul, no new prescriptions, no side effects that interfere with other medications. Just a quiet, steady helper working behind the scenes to support both your body and your mind. In the end, that's what creatine offers. Not a miracle, but a restoration, a return of strength, a return of focus. A reminder that aging doesn't mean giving up power. It means learning how to hold on to it in wiser ways. And if you've made it this far in the conversation, you already understand something important. You're not powerless. You're just missing a tool. Now you have it.